Hi folks, here's a little tutorial for one of our viewers, in actual fact two of our viewers. One wants to see me print out one of his designs onto a white t-shirt using our transfer papers. I think it's a design he's created. And the other viewer wants to see how to cut and import an image into a Silhouette Cameo and actually produce the finished graphic. So I'm going to combine them two tutorials and just do it and show you how we go through using the craft cutter which I use, which is the Silhouette Cameo. It's not a tutorial about that, this is just what I do, and this is a simple way to start off using the Silhouette Cameo if you don't really know how to use the software. See you in a minute. Right, well, I've been contacted by one of the people who watch my videos, and he's asked me if I can print out a t-shirt for him. But in this instance I thought it'll make a good tutorial, and I'll explain the reasons for why I'm doing what I'm doing and the reasons why I'm using the Silhouette Cameo in the way that I'm using it in this instance. So let's get on. I'll show you the image first of all, and then we'll have a look at how we bring it into the Cameo, and then we'll print the t-shirt. Right, okay then, well, I've actually got the image here. When he sent it to me via email, I think it was about 1000 by 500 and something, and he wanted it printed on A4 paper because he was predominantly going to be using A4 transfer papers, which is the size that I use. So what I done, I brought it into the Silhouette Cameo, which you'll see me do in a minute, and I actually printed it onto a transfer paper and increased its size. Now you can probably see here if I show you. So this is the actual image in question, which I've actually printed out already and actually contoured, cut around the actual image as well, just along the outside. I've not gone inside with all the words and writing. As you can see, it's made up loads and loads of individual words in the style of a face with sunglasses on. And I'll show you how I cut this outline in the Silhouette Cameo without having to cut out all these individual letters. You can do this with the white t-shirt transfer paper, which I'll show you in a second. But as you can see, I've increased the size of the image. When it came into the A4 sheet of paper, it was only about that big, and I've made it bigger, but it's not pixelated in any way whatsoever, which means that we can actually use that image at the size that he sent it to me on. Sometimes you'll find people will send you an image, and the image will be 120 by 250 pixels, something like a thumbnail size. And when you make that bigger, like I've done here, it will all pixelate. So if you've got a pixelated image which you've tried to import and increase its size, the actual original image that you've chosen was actually too small. This one was 1000 by about 850 or something, or 500, I can't remember exactly, but that's expanded and that's actually taken pretty nicely. So let's have a look how we imported this image into the Silhouette Cameo and actually cut it out. Right, okay then, this is the image which I've actually brought in and increased in size, but we're going to start again. So I'm going to go up to the top of the page there and create a new drawing. Now this is our carrier sheet. Let me just reduce the size so you can see everything on the page. There we go. We've got the carrier sheet there, as you can see there, which is our external image there. That is our carrier sheet, which is our Silhouette Cameo 12x12 one, or whatever you want to call it. And if you're on the page settings, the design page settings here, you set the cutter mat down there in this window here from the drop down menu, and I've just chosen the 12x12 Cameo. If I took that off and take it away and put none, as you can see, the carrier mat disappears. We don't need a carrier mat when we're printing on vinyls, but because we're printing on A4 paper, we really want to stick it to something, so we'll put the carrier mat behind it. Also, we've got our paper in the portrait position, and that is denoted by this there, or landscape if I span it around that way. As you can see, I'm happy with it in the portrait position, and our paper size is A4, which is set basically here. If I wanted to put a different size paper like a 12x12 or an A3 size paper, I would do that, but we're using A4, so we're choosing the A4 paper. Okay, so I'm happy with that, and now we want to go to the registration mark settings, which is the button next to it. Now don't forget, this layout might change depending on what version of Silhouette Studio software you have. They do sometimes update this, and they've actually changed this one. At me doing this video, this is the latest version, but we're looking for the actual registration page settings, and if you hover the mouse over the icon, it will tell you what the actual page is. So I'm going to click on that now, and at the moment the style of registration marks is off, so I'm just going to hit the drop down menu, and I'm going to do type 1 Cameo portrait. And as you can see there, it's now put our registration marks the three of them on the page. So I've got everything I want on that page now apart from the image. And what I'm going to do, I've actually saved the image onto my desktop and it's sitting on there. So I'm going to just hit the word file at the top of the page and I'm looking for merge. I'm going to bring the document in by using the merge feature there. So I'm going to hit merge. It'll open up a window. This is my desktop, everything on my desktop at the moment. That's the image I want to bring in. So I'm going to click on it once and then click OK, and that image, as you can see, will come onto the corner of our A4 sheet of paper. Now, as you can see, the image is rather small compared to our A4 sheet of paper. Let me just take the mouse and hold it on there and move it into the center. And as I say, you can see that that image is very small, and that image is about 1000 by 540, something like that. I can't remember exactly what the size was. And that's what it looks like on the page. So when someone sends you an image which is even smaller than that, when you stretch it and make it bigger, as we're going to do in a second, you'll probably find that it may pixelate, which indicates that image is too small. So right, what I'm going to do now is just to click on the image and we get our box around it. These little windows here, as you can see, are the little adjustment windows, these little square boxes. And all I'm going to do is to take a diagonal one. And the reason why I take a diagonal one, because it will, as I hold the left mouse button down and draw this backwards, the actual image will open up in scale. If I choose one of the middle ones, it would pull the image to the side and widen it. Or if I pulled the top and bottom center squares, it would elongate the image, and that would throw everything out of proportion. So to make this image in proportion, grab hold of one of the diagonal buttons until the little mouse changes, hold your left mouse button down and just drag until we see it get bigger. But all I'm doing is dragging the other corner now, just making it bigger until it's a size so it's just inside our line. And then I can just move it to the center if I want, like that. And I'm happy with that there. I think that's going to be okay there. Maybe a little bit bigger. Yeah, and a little bit bigger on this diagonal. There we go, I'm happy with that. So just come outside, click the box, and that's our image. Now, because this is going to be a white t-shirt transfer, what we need to do is to actually flip this image over. Whenever you're printing on a white t-shirt transfer paper, you have to reverse the image. And all you do there is you go to Object at the top of the page, Mirror, and flip horizontally. But as you can see, nothing's happening because I've not actually highlighted what I want to flip. So that's just a little show you there. If I click on the image, you can see the little boxes come up around it again. Now you'll be able to go into Object, Mirror, and now, as you can see, flip horizontally and it will turn around like that. There we go, just span round. So that's what we want now. So that is first stage done, and now we want to get the cut line around the outside of this image. Now, because it's a white t-shirt transfer, this isn't too critical because these white t-shirt transfers that I use, you've got a lot of white space here, which I don't bother cutting out as a rule because it disappears when you actually heat the actual transfer paper up and creates a clear background, so we're not too worried about that. Now, I've done that on the other one, but for the sake of doing a tutorial, I'm going to just cut around the outside as I have done with the other one, and instead of just cutting around the chin and joining everything up just on the outside and leaving all this as white transfer paper, which goes clear, don't forget, I'm going to now bring and cut around roughly around the sunglasses and back down there. And also inside the head as well, cut that white segment out as well. And all I'm going to show you there is just the difference of how the transfer paper feels if you leave the white back in as opposed to removing it, as we're going to do. So that's what we're going to do now. And the simple way I'm going to do this, again, there are different ways of cutting out images. Because this is all wording full of holes and gaps, I'm just going to cut or design a line around the outside by using the simple bow tie tool, which I call the bow tie tool over there. Hover the mouse over it and it's called the Draw a Polygon tool. So I'm just going to click on that. And I'm going to zoom in the page a little bit, just using the plus arrow at the top of the page. And as you can see, look, we can move up and down the side or back to side or up and down with these controls at the top and bottom. That's going to do me there. So I've selected the bow tie tool, which is the polygon tool. And I'm going to go just to the outside of the actual writing. And with my left mouse button, with that little arrow there, I'm just going to put a little click and it's dropped a little red dot. Now, as you can see, it's stretching the line out. And all I'm going to do before I hit a curve is, say about there, We don't want to be going on the actual writing, as you know. We're staying on the outside, just on the white, and I'm going to click the left mouse button again and drop once, and then move on, and then drop again, and I'm going to continue clicking the left mouse button when I'm changing direction a little bit, and as you can see there, I'm going all the way around the outside of the image just by dropping these little markers, which is actually going to become our cut line. And I'm just near, you know, you can be a bit more accurate than what I'm doing here. And if you want to move along the sidewards now, you need to use the little bars at the side and at the bottom, but you don't want to, as you see, look, where I'm moving that mouse, that's where it's going to drop. So you don't want to be clicking anywhere until you take the mouse right onto the little bar, and you're over the bar, and then you can hold the left mouse button down and move the page either sidewards, or come up to the sidebar and move the page downwards to where you want to be. Now if I drop that obviously there somewhere, or miss that bar, it would drop a marker there, and that would ruin our cut line. So you've got to be right on the bars when you actually slide the bars along. So right, so I'm just going to carry on now and just roughly go around the outside. I'm not being accurate, this is the real time you're seeing this in. And don't forget, when you do this, and if you've got plenty of these to design, you're only ever going to do this once. Now, with the other one, when I got to this point, I just went down to the chin and went round the chin. But here, I'm just going to be a little bit more accurate and just take out all this white here by just cutting round the shape there, as you can see, round the sunglasses, up there like that. And just going to remove a lot more of this white than what I did do with the previous one. And I'm going to print both off, and I'm just going to show you the difference. What you get when you just take this little extra step, so to speak, and cut out the white. So again, I've come to the end there. I'm just going to drag it sideways. Now I'm not worried about this for the moment, or this gap up here, because I'm going to come back afterwards and put some more cut lines in. I'm just going around the outside, as you know, just to get all the hairline and the sunglasses. Right, okay then, so I'm back to where we began, and if you just move the mouse over the red dot where it started, and then double click, that will set that cut line. And as you can see now, that cut line, I can move the mouse about. I don't want to click on anything because I'm still on the bow tie tool, as you can see there, or the polygon tool. And if I actually clicked on the page, it will start cutting again. Well, I'm going to start cutting again because I'm going to cut out also this white bit here in between the forehead. So again, I'm going to start again. We've got that one cut line on there, and I'm just going to drop another mouse. Until we join up. There's two, and with this one here, I'm just going to do this in one piece, so I'm not going to be too critical here. I'm going to go up to there. And double click there. Now there you go. I'll just make the page smaller so we can see what we've done. Move it up, put it back onto the move tool at the top, and that is basically it. That's all our cut lines which we've installed. That didn't take too long. This you would only do once, don't forget. So now what we're going to do is to set up the cut settings so that we're ready to cut. And all I'm going to do there, normally you have the cut settings on the top here, but for some reason this variation has got a little drop down arrow at the end here on this version. I'm going to click that, and then click the little cut tool, and that is going to take us to the cut settings page. And I'm going to go down here and I'm going to choose heat transfer material smooth, and I'm going to double click on it and then bring the page down, and it shows you the cutter ratchet wheel. It indicates that the cutter ratchet wheel should be set on 2 there, which mine is I think set on 3. And we got the speed and thickness here. I like the speed and thickness set like that, 8 and 7. And if we wanted to do a test cut, we could do that there and set our cutter up. I know this is going to be fine. And then all I have to do then is press center silhouette. But we don't want to cut it out yet because we haven't loaded it into the machine. We want to print it out. And the way you would print out now would be to go to the icon up here, which would print our image out. So I'm just going to click that. That opens up my printer, and then click print. Right, now this again is my Epson 1500W printer with basic dye inks, which is connected with a CISS system, which is over there. I've shown you many times on that there. Basic dye inks. And I've also got a waste tank connected, which tags in on the side there. I have videos for that as well. Just to open the printer up there, just so you can see what's happening. Again, the transfer paper's in the top there. I've got the printer set on photo quality paper, and it's set to photo in the actual printing software as well. You may want to experiment with this because different printers may have different outlooks, but I'm happy with what I've achieved here, and it produces the results what we want. The only thing I have to do every now and again is clean the heads using just the onboard facilities in the printer software, and I also do nozzle checks as well to make sure that the printer heads are clean and all the nozzles are printing out as they should be. And there we go. There's our image printed out, and don't forget it's got our registration marks, as you can see on there, so that our Silhouette Cameo can read it. This is the whole transfer paper, so we're now going to fix this just like on the screen on our 12x12 carrier sheet with that orientation. See the little orientation arrow there? I'm going to reproduce that. So this is our 12x12 carrier sheet here. Take the little protective sheet off, just stick it around the back. Just take the protective sheet off there. There's that little arrow which I showed you on the screen, so I'm just going to put this picture on the sticky surface in the top corner and literally just tap it on like that until it looks exactly the same as it does on the screen, and then I'm just going to feed it into our Silhouette Cameo, just lining the edge of the carrier sheet up with this line there, and then I'm just going to hit load the cut mat. I've got two little selections here. We've got load cut mat and load media. Because we're using the cutter mat, I'm going to click the load cut mat. If I was using just vinyl and not using the carrier sheet, I would click the load media. The difference between the two, when you hit load cut mat, it takes the carrier sheet in further, and that's all it does. So let's just do that now. Right, so we're in a position now where we need to cut it. So we come back over to our software, and you've got three little cut buttons there. You've got this one down there, you've got the cutter button there, and there's also one up in the drop down menu up there, as you can see there. You can click any one of them, click cut, it starts its cutting, and now it will cut this out. There we go. Just click unload, and there we go, it's actually cut out. So I'm just going to remove that. Always remember to put your backing protector back on here, because you'll get all fluff and everything stick to this, believe me, if you don't do that. And if you ever lose stickiness of this, you can actually wipe this off with a cleaning spirit or whatever and start again. And we use this stuff here, which is Toucan Art and Craft adhesive. You can buy this on eBay or any good craft shop. You want a low tack adhesive because you want to obviously be able to pull the transfer paper off of the page, but that's just the one we use at the moment. We have used other ones. Some of them you do not want a permanent one. Okay, so we'll go over now and just weed out the other white bits. Right, okay then, this is the one that we've cut out before, and I'll show you that in a second. This is the one that needs weeding out still, so I'm just going to get my pick tool. It's a little bit fiddly with this paper because you've got to find an edge first. I normally start right at the very edge. Just get underneath, and just to give it a little wiggle, and you'll get under there. Okay, so I've just got under there. I'm just going to pull away all the excess white, and it cuts all around our line, as you can probably see there. It's taking off all the outside. Go careful when you do this, and pull sort of, don't pull up in the air like that. Just pull low, but go easy, because you don't, it's very fine, this paper, and if it has snagged anywhere, you could actually lift up your actual transfer itself. So just go careful when you're going around there. And just a bit in the head now. There we go. Get that up there. And that's it. So what I've done basically, you won't be able to see it, but on this one here, I've cut all the white away, all the backing away around the head. This one I've left it in. I'm going to print both of these so you can just see what the difference is if I can get that near and show you the texture of the actual t-shirt. So we're going to get out a large t-shirt now. It's going to be a white t-shirt and it's going to be a Gildan. Right, here we go. And as you've seen on many occasions, all I'm going to do is to give this a pre-press to remove the moisture. A bit more tension on that needed. Now I'm just holding this down again for about 5 seconds, maybe a bit longer depending how damp they are. You'll know that but when you lift up, and you'll see if there's steam which is actually released from the actual garment, which there has on this case, and these are actually quite moist. Bearing in mind I do keep these inside, they stay in this room. The house is central heated, but we don't know how long they've been sitting in a factory in a box in a cold warehouse, so always worth doing this. And as I've said to you as well, I always pre-press the whole of the shirt because I like to keep the t-shirt looking uniform. Some people just press the middle bit, and when they ship them off, the rest of the shirt remains wrinkled, and that's just not what we do. You may want to do that, it's entirely up to you. I'm just going to carry on pre-pressing the shirt, and then we'll lay the graphics on the front and on the back. And I'm going to use the one here with the backing all removed. What you could do is fold it in half. I've mentioned this before, and just put a seam down the center. So I'm going to show you just me doing that. I'm not going to press the t-shirt for very, very long. I'm just going to fold it in half and a quick buzz down, literally 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds. This is some way you may want to do it. I'm not saying that you've got to do it like this. This is just to find literally the center of the t-shirt, and that's left me with a nice white line, crease line down the center there. You could just put a fold line down the center there as well. That then will leave a center of your t-shirt transfer. So I'm going to put this on now and basically press it. So pull out the old auto slide, lay that on there, push it back in, get my cover sheet, cover it up, and we are pressing at 190 degrees centigrade for 30 seconds for these t-shirt transfers that I use. Right, there we go. So I'm just going to bring that forward, remove the cover sheet, pull it off like that, and that is basically it. I just like to give them a bit of a stretch just to make sure that everything's okay. And there's our little image on our t-shirt there, as you can probably see. Absolutely fantastic. And these wash at 40 degrees C. So I've got t-shirts with these transfer papers on there for literally years and years, probably 6 to 7 years, which really is probably going to be the life of a t-shirt anyway. Right, so let's just turn it over, and I'm just going to do exactly the same now on the back of this t-shirt with the other image. There we go. I'll turn the heat press off, don't need that on anymore. Bring that out, take that off, and again, absolutely superb. Just give it a little flick and a bit of a stretch, and that is the one on the back, again successfully printed, of our own customer's version of a graphics that he's either created himself or he's not. Now the one on the back here, let me lay it down flat. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to show it to you here, to be honest with you. This is the one where we just literally cut the outline in the middle here. This was white. This was the actual transfer paper. And as you can see with these transfer papers, you get a slight texture with it, very slight texture. But you can't see the transition there, as you can probably see, between the transfer paper and non-transfer paper. And that's why I do like these transfer papers. You haven't got to be too worried about getting the outside line very, very accurate, as I said, because if you actually look there, there is no demarcation line between the transfer paper and the actual white cotton t-shirt. So that's that one. That's the one on the back there, as I said, with me leaving the white transfer paper still in there. Flip it over. This one I did cut out, as I say, and as I move my finger across there, I can actually feel this is actual t-shirt here, as you know, because we took the time just to cut round the sunglasses and round the mouth line, and also around the forehead. So there you go. I hope this was of some benefit to you. because a lot of people, as I say, don't realise how to bring an image into the Silhouette Cameo, especially if it's somebody else's image, which they may have sent in like I've done here. And as I say, I'm not a Silhouette Cameo expert. I've got a few ways which I use to cut out images. I've learnt them through looking at tutorials on YouTube, so I would suggest that you do the same, because everything appears to change. Everything can change over a period of time, and these are just little ways that I have found out, which I hopefully have passed on to you to make your life a bit easier if you're starting up a t-shirt printing business working from home. There you go. Thanks very much. Hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you in the next tutorial. And until then, bye for now.